There was a time when the word smoking didn't even exist. No one knew what it felt like to inhale smoke for pleasure. No one deliberately filled their lungs with addictive chemicals. Cigarettes didn't exist. Tobacco wasn't part of everyday life. Smoking simply wasn't a human habit. So what was the world like before smoking? How did humanity take its very first puff? Who discovered that inhaling smoke could become addictive? And how did that single discovery grow into a habit, followed by billions of people around the world? This is the extraordinary story of how smoking began. Night is falling slowly over a frozen landscape. The air is sharp, dry, and unforgiving. It is roughly 40,000 years ago. There are no cities, no written words, no religions carved into stone. Humanity exists in small wandering bands, surviving from hunt to hunt, season to season. Fire is their greatest invention. Fire means warmth. Fire means protection from predators. Fire means cooked meat and longer life. Fire means light in a world ruled by darkness. Around one such fire sits a small group of humans. Sparks rise into the night. Smoke curls upward. Sometimes drifting straight into the sky, sometimes bending sideways into faces and eyes. Most members of the group instinctively shift away from the smoke, but one boy does not. His name is Aruk. He is perhaps 12 years old enough to help gather wood, young enough to be told where to sit. Yet tonight, he sits closer than he should. He watches the smoke more than the flames. The fire dances wildly, but the smoke moves with a strange intelligence, curling, twisting, expanding like something alive. Earlier that evening, the hunters had thrown a bundle of dry shrubs into the fire. These were not ordinary branches. The leaves were brittle and aromatic. When the flames caught them, the smell changed. The smoke became heavier, richer, different. Aruk inhaled by accident at first. The smoke filled his lungs. He coughed violently. His eyes watered. The others laughed. His mother reached to pull him back from the choking cloud. But then something unexpected happened. The ache in his legs softened. The fatigue from a long day in the snow eased slightly. The firelight seemed brighter. The stars overhead looked sharper, closer somehow. His thoughts felt both lighter and clearer at the same time. So he inhaled again, this time on purpose. That second breath was quiet. No one marked it as important. But it may have been one of the most significant moments in human behavioral history. Humans had been breathing smoke for hundreds of thousands of years simply by living near fire. But this was different. This was deliberate. The next morning, Aruk approached his grandmother. Sena was the memory of the tribe. She knew which bark stopped bleeding. She knew which roots eased fever. She knew which berries killed without warning. Knowledge did not exist in books. It lived in people like her. Last night, Aruk said carefully, the smoke felt different. Sena did not dismiss him. She asked to see the shrub. They walked to the edge of the forest. Sena crushed the dried leaves between her fingers and brought them to her nose. She closed her eyes for a moment, considering. That evening, she placed the leaves beside the fire, carefully, not carelessly. The smoke rose again, thick and fragrant. This time, Sena inhaled first, slowly, deliberately. Then she told the others to sit quietly. One by one, they moved closer. Some coughed, some wiped tears from their eyes, but gradually, something shifted. Laughter came more easily. Conversation deepened. The tension of winter loosened slightly. No one knew the word chemistry. No one understood alkaloids, terpenes, or psychoactive compounds, but they understood patterns. When this plant burns, we feel different, and humans are masters of pattern recognition. Aruk began experimenting in secret. He tried other plants. Some made him dizzy in a dangerous way. One caused him to vomit violently. Another made his heart race so fast he thought he would die. Trial and error in prehistory carried real stakes. A mistake could mean death. But knowledge accumulated over time. The tribe identified certain plants as good smoke and others as forbidden. The use of smoke shifted from accident to ritual. They did not burn the special leaves every night, only before important hunts, only after death. Only during the longest, darkest stretches of winter. They sat in a circle. They inhaled together. Something remarkable happened in those circles. Trust deepened, conflict softened, fear became shared rather than isolating. Modern anthropology suggests that shared altered states strengthen group cohesion. When humans experience emotional shifts together, their brains synchronize in subtle ways. Cooperation increases, social bonds strengthen. Perhaps this is why Aruk's tribe survived winters that destroyed others. Sena eventually established rules. "Smoke must be respected," she said. "Too much brings harm." Plants were gathered carefully. The ritual was not casual, it was sacred. Across the world, similar discoveries were happening independently. In Africa, certain aromatic plants were burned intentionally. In Central Asia, wild cannabis grew naturally across open plains. In the Americas, tobacco thrived in fertile valleys. Thousands of years later, archaeologists would find evidence. In the Pamir Mountains of Central Asia, burial sites dating to around 500 BC revealed wooden braziers containing high THC cannabis residue. Ancient Greek historian Herodotus described the Scythians sitting inside enclosed tents, throwing hemp seeds onto hot stones, and howling with pleasure as they inhaled the smoke. For centuries, scholars doubted him, until archaeological evidence confirmed his account. In North America, researchers discovered a 12,000-year-old hearth containing concentrated wild tobacco seeds. In the southeastern United States, chemical analysis of ancient pipes revealed nicotine residue dating back at least 3.50 years. Tobacco, in indigenous American cultures, was sacred. It was not recreational in the modern sense. Smoke was a messenger, carrying prayers upward, carrying visions downward. Ancient Egypt documented medicinal fumigation in the Ebers Papyrus around 1550 BC. Greek physicians recommended inhaling herbal vapors for respiratory ailments. Indian Ayurvedic texts described structured smoke therapy. Known as Dhumapana, across early civilizations, inhaling smoke was sometimes medicine, sometimes ritual, sometimes spiritual technology. From a biological perspective, this makes sense. The lungs provide a rapid delivery system to the bloodstream. Modern inhalers, anesthetic gases, and nebulizers rely on the same principle, though without burning plant matter. But human interaction with smoke took a dramatic turn in the late 15th century. When Christopher Columbus arrived in the Caribbean in 1492, he observed indigenous people smoking tobacco. Europeans quickly adopted the practice. What had been sacred and controlled became commercial. By the 16th and 17th centuries, tobacco was a global trade commodity. By the 19th century, industrialization made cigarettes cheap and widely available. By the 20th century, tobacco corporations engineered nicotine delivery for maximum addiction and aggressively marketed products, despite knowing the health risks. What had once been ritual became industry. What had once been communal became personal habit. The gap between a shaman carefully burning tobacco during ceremony and a corporation designing addictive products is vast. The plant was the same, the intention was not. Yet beneath centuries of transformation, the root behavior remains ancient. Some researchers propose the intoxication hypothesis, the idea that the human drive to alter consciousness may be as fundamental as hunger or thirst. Across cultures and continents, humans independently discovered fermentation, psychoactive plants, and inhaled substances. This pattern suggests something deeply embedded in our biology. The endocannabinoid system, nicotine receptors, and other neural pathways evolved for natural regulation within the body. But when certain plant compounds interact with them, consciousness shifts. That shift may have intrigued early humans profoundly. Perhaps it began simply. A boy sat too close to a fire. He noticed something different. He tried it again. He shared it. Knowledge passed from mouth to ear around a fire in the dark. Fire gave humans warmth and safety. Smoke gave them altered perception, shared ritual, and eventually complex cultural systems. Over millennia, that same behavior evolved into medicine, religion, social bonding, and later, commercial addiction. Today, we understand the health consequences of smoking. Science has mapped the damage. Public health campaigns warn against its risks, yet the deep historical thread remains. When you sit beside a campfire and inhale the scent of wood smoke on a cold night, you participate in something unimaginably old. Fire, smoke, breath. The oldest humans did the same beneath different stars. The meanings have changed. The context has shifted. But the act, the simple act of drawing smoke into the lungs, connects us to 40,000 years of human curiosity. It began not with industry, not with cigarettes, not with commerce. It began with attention. A human noticed cause and effect. A human chose to repeat it. And that choice, small and quiet beside a prehistoric fire, became one of the longest-running behaviors in human history.